like build the sculpture out of like actual shoes first before you made it, and like?
Yeah. No, made out of real shoes. Then take a digital scan of it. So now it's in the computer, and you can print it out in any size. Print it out in styrofoam at any size. Then make a new mold from the styrofoam and cast it in bronze.
Did you change the sculpture at all from the 3D?
No, but somehow the 3D scanning, when this was done, was not as good as it is today. So once it was enlarged in styrofoam, I had to go and carve some of the details back in. But nowadays, we get better copies.
Who inspired you, like, growing up? Like, was there any family members or friends that helped you pursue this career?
Well, I had an uncle who did a lot of portraits. So when I visit his family, his paintings would be in the living room. So that was kind of inspiring. Because you said family, so I'm trying to keep it on family. My great-grandfather had an art collection, but nobody major like in the museum here, but he had an art collection. He had a collection of books, too, that really inspired me a lot because of the illustrations. And my dad was studying blueprint drawing when I was a kid, so he would give me some graph paper to play with. So, I mean, I can go on and on. At a certain point in my life, I had a big appetite for inspiration. So everything was inspiring to me. So that makes it a shorter answer.
Did the face evolve out of the sculpture, or did you intentionally plan to put a face?
Well, I don't plan at all.
Right.
I just play.
Yeah.
But I played with making the head first.
Oh, okay.
So the head came before the rest of the body.
Okay.
And it always catches me by surprise because I remember the first piece I made out of shoes. Can you help me with this mask on? No. Yeah. I guess you're all far enough away. You know, I'm in the danger group because I'm at that age where, you know, you gotta be careful. But yeah, it's all play. I don't make any plans for any of the stuff. I remember the first shoe piece I made. I had maybe 60 pairs of shoes on the table, and I spent maybe 2 months playing with them before I realized that this white stilettos made a set of teeth. And then from there, I just grew the rest of the face and eventually the body, and just grew from there. But it's never planned out. Because plan makes it more like too much like a job.
So, why women's shoes?
Because they're available. I started out with sneakers. I had a show at a prison in Pennsylvania, and I wanted to make something out of sneakers and didn't have enough to make anything. At that time, I was primarily a painter as well. And so when I went to the thrift store to buy more sneakers, I saw the high heel shoe and it caught my attention. So I just decided to be open to it and let it grow.
Like, where did you first present your artwork?
Well, of course, in school. You know, I was best artist in grammar school, in middle school, and in high school. I had my first gallery show in New Jersey, probably at a corporate gallery in Newark, New Jersey, at the World Trade Center. But, you know, I've been doing this a long time, so some of these questions take me back so far, I can't recall the details. I went to Arts High School in Newark, New Jersey, and Arts High School was the first high school of the arts in this country. It started like in 1930, and they focused on art and music. Today they include drama. Some of the illustrious alums are better known in drama than they are in fine art. But Michael B. Jordan went there. Sarah Vaughan went there. I don't know if you know jazz, but Wayne Shorter went there, saxophone player. I know great visual artists, known visual artists rather, have come out of the school that I'm aware of, but a lot of great musicians and actors. And I went there, I graduated in 1972, so you all were just little seedlings, maybe not even seedlings, maybe just thoughts, maybe just desires. But when I go back, the 72 was high school graduation year.
So,
might be a little personal, so you don't have to answer it if you don't want
I
to.
appreciate that.
So I see that you're a person of color and also an artist. Did like being a person of color like ever make you think that like you couldn't be great or like you couldn't compete to the other artists out there?
Right. Well, that is a good question that probably should be answered. She said, I don't know if she said has or did, but being a person of color have an impact on my personal belief about my ability to be an artist. That's a good summation, right? Okay. So being an artist is not just a job. So I was an artist before anybody called me an artist, okay? But in terms of being a professional artist, I did run into some challenges, especially like in the 70s, because the 70s in the US, and this is Texas, so you guys had it tougher than New Jersey. I hear about you guys all the time, even today. But in the 70s, the racism was pretty heavy. I started as an illustrator, and I had a connection with Fawcett Book Publishers. And back in those days, they did a lot of romance novels, and they would have the models there, like, you know, one of those kind of shots. And they would give me the photos and ask me to paint them. And they always said that my people looked too ethnic, so they never used them. I did 3 book covers with them that they never used. Yeah, it was challenging back in those days in graphic design and illustration. With fine art, my timing was good, or maybe God's timing was good. But once Jean-Michel Basquiat died, do you know Jean-Michel Basquiat?
Yeah.
Once he died, every gallery in New York wanted one black artist. So he was like our Jesus Christ. He opened the door. He died for our careers, you know. So it's an interesting world and time that we live in. But because I grew up in the 60s and 70s, we were like the consciousness generation. We were the civil rights era people. So our awareness was growing rapidly and our pride was growing rapidly. We were asserting ourselves, but a lot of us didn't get the benefits of that, but the next generation did. So yes, to make it a simple answer, it didn't dampen my faith in becoming an artist who can make a living at art. Because in general, making a living as an artist is ridiculous and challenging and hard to do, you know. So that had more of an impact on the possibility of succeeding than my color. You know, my family members said, "Oh well, you know you're not gonna make any money until you die, right?" You know, so I didn't believe that, even though the evidence was all around me. I still didn't believe it, you know. And just just kept pushing, and like I said, the timing was right, and everything's fallen in place. I do see a lot of challenges now. Obviously, you see this is a heavy question. I could go on this topic, but a lot of challenges still go on today because we still live in a kind of a racist society in many ways. And the art world is, even though spotlight is on black, it's still not a smooth shine from the light, you know. There's something about observing the other that fascinates people. It's like you go to the zoo and you're looking at the elephants, you know, you're fascinated because they're not you. So I think a lot of artists of color are experiencing it that way. It's insight into another world or another culture. And so that has created certain limits. I mean, it's such a deep question. It's created certain limits because the preferred art by people of color is representational, almost realistic paintings, which I call illustrations. But you see an African American or artists of color doing like abstract paintings, they don't get the same acceptance as the representational ones. Because the representational feeds into the curiosity factor, where abstraction is like encroaching on what a European artist might think of as their level of intelligence. You know, I mean, the savages can't do that, you know, so all that kind of stuff, but good question. I've read a book about that one. All right. Thank you.